Welcome, everybody. I'm Robert Murphy, the Chief Economist here at Infineo, and we'd like to welcome you to our webinar presentation showcasing our newly launched policy ledger. So we're going to be just giving you a brief introduction, showcasing some of its capabilities, telling you a vision for the future, and explaining how it's going to help your clients and also you in your capacity as an agent or broker. I know we have different types of people tuning into this webinar presentation. So let me just first give a quick overview of what we're going to accomplish in this brief session tonight. So I'm going to just give you some introductory remarks for a few moments. When I'm done, I'm going to turn it over. Jackson Blau is our Director of Business Development, and he's got a demo that he's going to present to you showing how the policy ledger works, just so you can see it. And then we're going to switch to Zuhar Rashid, who's our Chief Technology Officer. So he's kind of the one involved with the building out the blockchain infrastructure that's involved with this. And he's going to explain, some of the nuts and bolts, but also the long-term vision of where we want to go with the policy ledger and related technology that we're developing. And then we're going to hear from Tony Garcia, who's our Chief Information Security Officer. And he's just going to give you a quick overview of the security and privacy features we're building into this, because that's one of the concerns people may have when they see what we're doing with the policy ledger. Then we're going to have a Q&A session. So let me just mention, as we're going through this, if you have questions that occur to you, go ahead and in the chat window, type those in, and then Jackson's going to be fielding those. So in the Q&A section, we'll all come back on camera and Jackson will feed us the questions that you folks may have been typing in. And then we'll just wrap up. So throughout this, what we're like you to ultimately do is either try the policy ledger out yourself with your own policies. If you're an eager beaver, you go to ledger.infineo.ai, or periodically we'll be flashing a QR code if you want to book a meeting with Jackson, again, who's the Director of our Business Development, in order for him to just walk you through it in a live session. Okay, so big picture, what is our policy ledger? It is an interface that allows your clients to interface their policies to synchronize them with the Infineo ledger. And what ends up happening is there's a blockchain, and we take a few key elements, we form what's called a hash or a digital footprint to put it on the blockchain. Thus, there's a one-to-one correspondence of your client's policy to a foothold on the policy ledger blockchain, which is not viewable or interpretable by outside parties. And again, later, Zuhar and Tony will tell you more about that. And what's the value add? What does that do for your clients? So big picture, what that means is there's like a digital copy now of your client's policies in the Infineo database. And so it solves, among other things, the unclaimed death benefit problem, right? So the latest data we have available, there was some $7 billion in unclaimed death benefit in the United States. People had life insurance policies in force. The insured died, and the carrier just can't locate the appropriate beneficiaries. So the carriers don't get to keep the money. Typically, they got to hand it over to the states, and then the governments just sit on it until they can find somebody. So among other things, we solve that, because when the client interfaces with the policy ledger, they enter, and this is all voluntary, of course, and up to the client's discretion, but they can enter the people to contact to determine if the person's still alive. So in a typical unfolding, what's going to happen is periodically the policy ledger will reach out to the relevant party and say, if it's the person being insured as the owner, will say, are you still with us? Check in. And then if the person does not check in, then again, according to the instructions and desires of the person who is running the account, it will then go to the next named person and say, hey, we haven't gotten our regular check-in. Is this person still with us? And so forth. And it'll go through the hierarchy. So then if the system determines that it thinks the person's no longer with us, then it's got, again, the pre-programmed beneficiaries to notify. And it will just send them automatically information about, we believe that this policy now, is eligible to be claimed. Here's the carrier, here's the contact information, here's the policy number, and so forth, just to ensure that there's a smooth claims redemption process when the scenario arises. So besides the sort of worst case scenarios where the carriers just can't get in touch with the people and the money doesn't get paid, the more typical case still, when there's a mortality event, the next of kin, they're planning the funeral, they're doing things like that. They don't want to be hunting around for Uncle Jack's policy in his drawer somewhere to figure out, yeah, what carrier did he have that policy with? Just to take a lot off the plate of the families when they're dealing with other more important matters. So that's in terms of just right away out of the gate, what does this do for the client? More long-term vision is ultimately we want to foster a marketplace. Okay. And so when clients now have a sort of digital twin of their analog, conventional paper-based policy that's living on the blockchain, it's just going to be a lot easier to open that up to potential other buyers around the world, right? And Infineo is partnering with various people who have all the appropriate licenses and so forth to make that happen. Okay, so again, just giving more options to the client in terms of if they should ever want to surrender a policy, instead of having to do that, they have an option of selling it to somebody else in a very low friction manner, right? Just like being able to put your house on Zillow and just seeing what the market is bidding for it. And you don't have to sell if you don't want to, but just making that much more convenient. That's what we're doing with life insurance. We're fostering a very robust, transparent, and convenient secondary market for life insurance policies. So now, how does all this affect you as either an agent or a broker? Well, if you get your clients in there, you can have access as an administrator. And so your clients' policies, again, if they all opt in and everything is consensual, of course, then now you have certain oversight and you can have them bundled together. So among other things, as the information is interfaced in our system, you can generate reports. You can go in and check on the cash value. If a client says, hey, how much do I have available for a loan? You don't have to go to the carrier. You can have all that information at your fingertips. And we have all sorts of graphing tools and other things to make it easier for you just to interact with the policy and let the client do it as well. Besides that, we also have, we call it AI Bob, named after me because I'm Robert Murphy, that's programmed with a bunch of information about life insurance that, sort of is like a little pop-up assistant that the client can ask questions about their policy and, receive feedback. Besides all that, again, it's maintaining persistency, right? So your clients, those policies are not going to be surrendered. And so there's that element involved. So that obviously directly benefits you as an agent. And just if down the road you want to sell your business off, you have them all prepackaged. You can generate customized reports. It's much easier to demonstrate to a potential buyer just what it is that your whole practice consists of, because again, you've got all the information in one secure, convenient spot. So I think with that brief overview, I will hold up my remarks. Again, as you've got questions, if you put them in the chat window and we'll field them in a few moments. But at this point, instead of me just talking about it, why don't you just be shown the Infineo policy ledger, and Jackson's going to take it from here.
Welcome to the Infineo Policy Ledger demonstration. I am Jackson Blau, Infineo's Director of Business Development, and today I'll walk you through the main features of the Policy Ledger, showcasing its functionality and benefits. Our goal is to make managing life insurance policies more intuitive and efficient. Most people are unaware, but there is over $7 billion in unclaimed life insurance death benefits, where the carriers can't locate the beneficiaries after the insured passes away. Our policy ledger ensures your death benefits are claimed as intended and serves as the gateway to the Infineo ecosystem. Let's begin by logging into the policy ledger. You'll start by clicking the login button, which will send a verification email to the registered email address. Clicking on the link in the email will direct you to go back to the policy ledger, where you'll see the policy ledger homepage. Setting up your profile is quick and easy, ensuring you have a seamless experience. Upon your first login, you will land on the settings page. Here you can update your personal information and turn on notifications for life verification, as well as edit the cadence of these. Don't worry, we'll explain more about this in a little bit. If you are a life insurance agent or broker, you can select the toggle here and gain the ability to digitize your entire book of business. On the main dashboard, you will see an overview of your policies. Notice the Dr. AI Bob feature, an AI-driven assistant ready to answer your questions, such as how much paid-up additions can I purchase this year without making my policy a modified endowment contract or MEC. We're still refining this feature for optimal privacy and security, so while you have access to Dr. AI Bob, it cannot yet interact with specific policy data, but it's a glimpse into the future of interactive policy management. Let's digitize a policy. click on the Digitize a Policy button and upload a policy document to be stored. The system allows you to manually enter information from the document, or you can try out the automatic data extraction, which you can verify and edit if necessary. This ensures all details are accurate before creating your digital record. Once confirmed, hit the Mint button to create a digital record. Your policy is now securely stored on the blockchain with a unique identifier. To be clear, all that is being placed on the actual blockchain is a hash of a few key details of your policy. This is an encrypted fingerprint of your policy, which allows the blockchain to uniquely identify your policy in our ecosystem. None of your private data is placed in a readable form on the blockchain. Now let's dive into the details. The system presents a clear illustration of your policy's cash value over time compared to your premiums. You can sort this data or copy it for further analysis. This section also displays a detailed breakdown of your policy, including any loans or changes you've made. We're working towards integrating with carrier application programming interfaces, known as APIs, for automatic and current updates. For now, any changes made in the policy ledger or with your carrier must be updated with the other using these buttons. Rest assured, our priority is maintaining the highest security standards to protect your data. Once a policy is digitized, the policy ledger will make sure the death benefit is claimed when the time comes. This is done through an attestation system. The policy owner will receive emails to attest the insured is still with us on a cadence of their choosing, such as monthly, quarterly, or annually. In the event the policy owner is unresponsive, we will ask community member to attest to the insured's life. This is where the verification of life setting I mentioned earlier comes in. The policy owner can set how frequently they want to verify their life and how many times those can be ignored before we ask the community members to verify. In the event that a community member confirms the insured is no longer with us, we will send the information necessary to make a claim on the policy and instructions to do so, thus resolving the stranded death benefit problem. If you want, you can have multiple community members, and you'll have the ability to prioritize who is first to verify your life and for how long before moving to the next community member. Thank you for joining this demonstration of the Policy Ledger. Our platform aims to add efficiency to your policy management, and we will continue to add functionality over time. As mentioned, the Policy Ledger serves as the entrance to the Infineo ecosystem, which will have additional benefits. For instance, a marketplace to buy and or sell your life insurance policies and instantaneous lending against your life insurance policies. For any further questions or to explore more, please visit our website at infineo.ai or reach out to our team for more help.
Hey everyone. As you saw there, that was Jackson presenting our state-of-the-art policy ledger technology. I'm Zuhair Rashid. I'm the CTO of Infineo. And I'm just going to quickly sort of dovetail off of that presentation to talk to you a little bit about Infineo's vision and the future of our technology. So the policy ledger, as Jackson mentioned, it is the entrance or the entry point into our digital ecosystem. And the next steps are to allow for further functionality for policyholders to be able to control, manage, and use their policies in ways that they haven't been able to before or have been very cumbersome in the past. And so what that means is, for example, as you can see, immediately when you digitize your policy, you have access to a great dashboard of cash value and death benefit numbers and your illustration growth. And all these different sort of user-friendly interfaces. But additionally, the next phase is really, it's taking it to the next level where you can interact with the actual underlying policy. So you'll be able to do things like borrow against your policy with very little friction. You'll be able to do things like potentially sell your policy if you're in a jurisdiction that allows for that. So these things are just going to sort of become easier over time as a result of our digitization efforts. And the policy ledger is really the interface to begin that. And it's going to evolve over time into the broader sort of life insurance super application that we're trying to create around our ecosystem. And so For users specifically, what this means, or for policy owners, what this means is just a better time throughout the life cycle of your policy. These things stick around until you die, folks. So, you want to have a good experience with them. Just like the people you surround yourself with, the software you surround yourself with matters. And so this is something that we are very passionate about. We're working tirelessly to improve the user experience on the policy ledger. And then Infineo's broader vision is to take life insurance from its highly analog, highly friction-laden state into the digital age as seamlessly as possible, and in a way that's never been done before. And so the policy ledger, as we discussed, is our first product. It is a product that is evolving over time, and it's going to lead to much bigger things down the line. And we wanted to provide some value upfront, as Jackson described in that video, to users so that they feel that it's worth their while to onboard right now. And there's a lot coming soon. So just a couple words from me about our vision and our technology state. And yeah, thanks. I'll hand it over back to the host.
Hi, I'm Tony Garcia, the Chief Information Security Officer here at Infineo. I wanted to take a couple of minutes to share some of the information, some of the frequently asked questions we get on security from our community. At a high level, and I think we've heard Bob and Zuhair mention this as well, when we look at blockchain technology, how does this really enhance the applicability of an insurance policy? And at a high level, the mutability of the blockchain provides that fingerprint digitally on the blockchain that's not alterable. So essentially, once we've minted the policy on the blockchain, it's there. We don't have to worry about a change in the paperwork or anything of that to a certain degree. We've got a digital fingerprint there that's stored for the life of the policy, essentially without being immutable. What that unique identifier provides for the policy is obviously a link to our policy ledger platform where you can more easily identify that policy. So as we move more into a digital world where people are natively using their inbox to track information, this allows us to store this in digital wallets. We no longer have to worry about the lost paperwork problem and some of the issues you might have when you really need to reference a policy. The security features of the policy ledger at a high level, the authentication model that we use is deceptively easy but very secure. So I'll give you a quick overview of that. We've chosen to partner with Magic Link, which is a native provider in the blockchain space. And essentially what they've managed to do with their technology is provide a very low friction, passwordless authentication system. It is very secure by nature. One of the things it does is even though you're only using a email attribute to log in, it is actually binding to the device as well. So if you're coming from a mobile device or your desktop or laptop or whatever it may be, it's actually creating a unique fingerprint signature for that device. When you enter your email address, once you open that email from the device and click on that link, you're actually binding that device to the authentication flow, which means in the future, all you really need is that email and that device to get in. You can also add another device to that flow by simply following the same process. So it really limits the ability, say, for a traditional phishing attack or something to get into your inbox or just use your email address and a password to get into something. So it's actually quite a bit more secure than most platforms you would see available out there. Also, restricted access to policy information. We've gone to great lengths to ensure that only you as a policy owner have access to that information. People even internally in Infineo, there are certain people that have a business need to see that information from a maintenance or operations standpoint. I don't have access to it. Most of the people in Infineo don't have any access to that policy information. And we very regularly review and monitor that access to that information. Also, encryption of data is important. So from the time you access the policy ledger platform, we're using a heavily encrypted session using the latest TLS protocols, and we're doing heavy encryption with AES-256 on the back end for the database. So there's no point in time when that data is exposed in the clear to ensure your privacy and your security of your information. And at a high level on privacy, if you take a look at our privacy policy, when you enroll, it's fully open and public for you to look at, and we would encourage you to take a look at that. We currently have no third-party agreements, no plans to. As far as ads, sales, or marketing, everything is in-house. The only people who actually has access to that information is us. We're not selling, marketing it for any other purpose. So we've gone to great lengths to maintain those privacy principles above all else. And we look forward to providing that service moving forward with you folks. So with that, we'll turn it over to the Q&A session. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm our Director of Business Development, Jackson Blau. You might have seen me earlier on the demo. So I'm very excited to be here with the rest of our team. And we're going to be answering the couple of questions that you guys have put in the chat already and answering those that continue to come in. So if you guys do have any questions here, please let us know. We're happy to answer them. And obviously, we would love to have you digitize your guys' policies. And if you do want to learn more on a separate call, just one-on-one, we are available to do that. So if you want to scan the QR code to get access to the ledger itself or to book a call, I just put that on the screen there for you. And with that here, we're going to move into the Q&A. So the first question for our Q&A is going to be for you, Dr. Murphy, and it's going to be, how or what do I need to get started with the policy ledger?
Okay, well, it's real simple. So again, if you're somebody you just want to dive in yourself and do it, you can just go right now to, or after this webinar is over, to ledger.infineo.ai, and it's quite simple to just manually enter your policy and start right there. But what I would suggest, just in case there are various things, there's obviously a lot of information we're trying to convey to you folks, and we're just picking and choosing. But there's a lot going on here. And so what I would strongly recommend is you just scan that QR code and book a meeting with Jackson, and he'll just meet with you one-on-one at your convenience and just show you, and you could explain like what your particular situation is. Like, yeah, this is how many policies I have in my book of business, and how, how can I very efficiently get them to you guys for you to interface and upload to your ledger and so forth. And that's the sort of thing Jackson can do. So big picture, again, if you just want to kick the tires yourself, and the public right now, I mean, we're up and running. Jackson, how much of death benefit is on right now?
I believe it's 74.6 million as of latest.
Okay, so again, folks, this is, people out in the wild right now have been uploading their policies. So right now we've got about $75 million of policies on chain as we speak, and it's growing every day. And so if you want to just go check that out, again, you go to ledger.infineo.ai. But again, for the full story, to get, have someone answer your questions in real time, I suggest you scan that QR code.
Beautiful. And I've also put the links in chat if that's easier for you. Both links to the ledger and to book a call with me to learn more about digitizing the full book of business and doing that efficiently and seamlessly. So thank you for that answer there, Dr. Murphy. I actually want to come back to you with the second question from the audience, which was, is there any costs associated with using the policy ledger? That's when we get a bunch. And so, yeah, if you could answer that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great. And as the economist, even though we always say there's no such thing as a free lunch, in this case, there is a free policy ledger, right? And so, yes, there's no fee. It's in case you're wondering, well, why you guys do it? It's in our interest. We're trying to build up, this robust secondary market for life insurance policies, just so you realize, big picture, partly also what we're doing here in Infineo, what I'm doing in my day-to-day activities is we're trying to construct a new asset class. Right. And so by making whole life insurance in particular more accessible to portfolio managers and things like that, and the necessary element in that process is tokenizing them to take conventional analog policies and create digital tokens on blockchains that, effectively point to them and can serve in commerce the same purpose as those. And they're just much easier to package and move around and so forth. So, part of the process of that is we want everyone to get more familiar with tokenizing their policies, having digital versions of life insurance policies on the blockchain. And so as a service to the general public, we're saying, hey, right now, go ahead. We're not going to charge you. We have to build this infrastructure anyway. So go ahead and get your policy into our ecosystem. Down the road, when we do have the secondary market up and running, then yes, if somebody effectively lists their policy on our ledger and some other buyer buys it from them, Infineo will benefit from, getting a small portion of that in terms of the transfer price. But no, just to right now integrate your policy with our system and to get all the benefits that you saw in that demo, that's free of charge.
Great answer there, Dr. Murphy, and thank you for that. The next question we have from the audience is going to be for you, Zuhar, which says, how does the policy ledger ensure accuracy in the policy data? If you maybe just want to speak to currently and then eventually where the system will ensure accuracy.
It's a good question. Yeah, so the policy ledger currently has a data ingestion process that takes in your supplied data. So for example, a policy PDF, and then that data is extracted out. And then what happens is it's displayed to you in a format that you are able to check the actual fields that have been extracted and verify that the data is correct prior to minting your policy. And so you're able to sort of double verify in case the AI extraction system had any issues. Now, with respect to the future state of the system, the idea is that we will, the AI systems are improving day by day. We have Dr. Hubbs, who is our chief AI scientist, who is driving that effort. And so the extraction accuracy increases for each carrier day by day. But the next phase is going to be that the data is sourced directly, and we'll speak about that at a future date. But the idea is when the data comes in directly, we have 100% accuracy by default. And so this is an ongoing sort of, as I said, it's an evolutionary product, and things are changing, things are being upgraded day by day. So that's the data accuracy piece.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Zuhar. We have another audience question that I'm going to come to you with, Tony. I think that's going to be best for you. And it's asking, how does the policy ledger protect my personal information? If you could just give a brief overview there, that'd be great.
Yeah, and again, it starts from the time you log in. We've partnered with a very highly available, scalable authentication provider to ensure that authentication session is secure and of high resiliency, and making sure that we've got the right person. At the end of the day, when we deal with authentication, it's making sure we've got the right person aligned to the right service and authorization functions, entitlements, and such. So really at a high level, instead of a lot of organizations, I think, choose to roll their own, they store usernames and passwords. That creates risk. I think we've wisely decided to partner with somebody who provides a great service to do that natively on the blockchain. So from that, we go into encryption. That session is using the same encryption you would find if you're doing an Amazon purchase, or more akin to a online e-banking or e-commerce type transaction. And then once we get the information, we store it on a back end that's heavily encrypted. We're using a very, very large cloud provider with heavily regulated environmental controls, military standards, really, financial and otherwise, healthcare, all of that is hosted within this cloud environment. So, it's secured from just about everything that you would rationally see in this type of environment when you look at other modern financial applications. I hope that answers.
I think that was perfect. We do have two more audience questions I wanted to get to, so if we can go kind of rapid fire here. I think Dr. Murphy, I can ask kind of all of them to you. One, the question is it available for annuities and other life insurance or other kinds of insurance, or just life insurance? So if you want to answer that one.
Yeah, so right now it's just configured for life insurance, but to be clear, that can be, term, whole life, UL, and so forth. So any type of life insurance policy, it's configured for. Down the road, we may, annuities would be a natural thing to add, and that's involved in some of our other activities at Infineo. But strictly speaking, right now, no, it's just life insurance.
And then the next question I'd like to cover, that should be a quick answer here, is if we are currently available for digitization in Canada.
No, at the moment, we're not, and it's just because of the different regulatory regimes and so forth, so we just want to be very conservative at this point. We would like to, down the road, make that accessible to bring it to as many markets as possible, but for right now, we're not.
And I guess why not? We do have one more question, and it was a good one, and I didn't want to sell it short. So it's for Zuhar. Maybe the question could use a little more context, but it's which carriers does Infineo currently have working with the Infineo API? And so while we currently don't have our own API, we plan to integrate with carriers. And so potentially if you could speak to that and the timeline around that.
Yeah, sounds good. So the APIs are in progress right now. So the carrier support will be developing over time. It's sort of it's on the roadmap right now. We're also trying to optimize the current processes that we already have in place. And so we're going to upgrade, sort of have a date where we perform a significant upgrade on the system. And a lot of those will be put in place in the coming sort of weeks and months.
Great. And with that, I think we're up on time. And so if there are any questions that we have not gotten to, we will make sure and circle back with you one-on-one and get those answered. But yeah, thank you for allowing me to moderate this Q&A. Dr. Murphy, do you want to close things out?
Sure. So again, thanks folks for your attention, and I hope you're seeing that not just what the policy ledger can provide for your clients immediately in terms of just easing things when a mortality event occurs, but also in your role as an agent, just to make it much easier. And I saw David kind of in the chat mention just the communication with your clients. You can stick with them even if things move to different companies and whatnot. All that transportability and compatibility can be maintained through this. So again, I urge you just to check it out. Go to ledger.infineo.ai if you want to do it yourself, or ideally go scan this QR code and set up a meeting with Jackson, and he can give you more detailed, specific information as you talk about what your practice entails, and you're wondering how can this benefit you immediately.
Great. Thank you everyone for being here. Have a great night.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks all.